And good evening, everybody, and welcome aboard. Second season of Hawk Talk. We're right here coming to you live from the Hilton Garden Inn. And once we get rid of our echo in my headset, we'll be great, Coach. We have radio replay, didn't even need it yet. We're good, Jake. Thank you. All right, we're with you on U92Radio.com and, of course, Renda Digital TV on YouTube. You can check us out anywhere. Coach Paul Tortorella is with me. We're going to talk IUP football and anything else that happens to come along. Also, we invite you fans, if you if you want to stop by the Hilton Garden Inn, be sure to do that. We've got great beverages here for you and a nice chit-chat about IUP football or anything you'd like to discuss. And if you have any questions for the coach, maybe you can send them our way and we can pass it along other than what I have here. And of course, we'll take the itty-bitty things that go with IUP football. And Coach, it's been so long. My goodness, you went to practice August 15th. Here we are. It's a month later, haven't played a game yet. And I know you tried to get an 11th game. That didn't happen, though, did it?
No, we couldn't get a game. And it had to be a home game. I mean, we weren't going to go play 3 games on the road to start the season. So it just didn't work out like that. We won't have to worry about that the next 4 years because we got a 4-year deal with Ashland, who we've had great games with in the opener. So, as you've seen, most of the games in the conference were not very good games. So we thought we got a lot out of our 2 scrimmages. We had an 80-play scrimmage on Friday, and probably got just as much out of that as we would if we were playing a team that wasn't very good. And our starters would have probably not played a whole lot in the second half. So it is what it is. We're ready to play, this Saturday.
I was going to ask you, the game, by the way, at East Stroudsburg is at 6:05 if you're headed across the state for the game on Saturday evening. I was going to ask you, evaluate from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2. Did you make some progress there?
Yes, we definitely did on both sides of the ball, and especially, too, in the kicking game. You don't realize when you're in preseason camp, you're practicing every day, 6 days a week. You're building up a lot of practices. I mean, once you get through 12 to 18 practices, that's like practicing for 4 weeks during the season. So we got a lot better from the first scrimmage to the second scrimmage, more attention to detail, and we probably minimized some of the things we were doing earlier in the first scrimmage and kind of cut back a little bit and let the kids play a little faster in the second scrimmage.
Mm-hmm. You alluded to the fact special teams, the kicking game, and Coach Gene Beachigo probably has his biggest challenge in a long time. You've got a lot of guys who are vying for the job because you lost the punter, you lost the long snapper, you lost the place kicker. How's that been coming about?
We really haven't made a decision yet. We still got a couple guys in both, in running to be the punter and the kicker. We probably settled on a kickoff guy, but other than that, we still haven't settled on a punter or a kicker yet. So by the end of the week, we'll have somebody ready.
Will you take 2 or 3?
We'll take 3.
3. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And that's been pretty intense with these guys. A lot of young guys there. That consistency, I guess, is the big thing among them.
Well, yeah. I mean, and then when you under pressure, we've tried to put them in high leverage situations. Back end of a 2-minute drill where we got to kick a field goal to win the game. More game-like things rather than just kicking field goals, in pre-practice, which we do. You want to see how they do, obviously, with a rush. The timing, you can't take all day to kick the ball. Under pressure, like I said, a lot of our 2-minute drill, it's field goal win. So we get down there, we set up to kick the field goal to win. So we've tried to put these guys under the gun as much as we could.
Mm-hmm. For the 3rd consecutive year, you have a new quarterback, transfer quarterback. This time, though, Mac Sexton has 2 years and not 1 as the previous guy, Harry and Quinton had. So that's going to be, and the other, I would think the other plus factor, he had spring ball.
Oh, that's night and day difference than what the other 2 guys had to come into. The first practice for Quinton and Harry was the first practice in August. Max had a spring practice. he'll have 22 practices plus spring practice, so he'll be around 35 practices before the first time he plays in a game for us. So that's a benefit, and he has experience. He was a starting quarterback at this time last year at Pittsburgh State for the first 10 games. So he's been in the battle in a tough league, in a tough conference, and so we're expecting him to, pick us up here in the beginning of the year and kind of lead us.
A little bit more about him. He's had 25 starts in his 2 years, and Pittsburgh State's been maybe not the powerhouse now, but they've been
in the past.
They've been solid for many, many years. He's from. I know the family told me getting a chance to be. I think his parents are as famous as anybody because they've been at the practices. But I know they're from Buffalo and so on. He's from Texas. How did you manage to get him? Because I would think once his name hit the transfer portal, there were people after him.
Yeah. Well, there was a little bit of a contact with the head coach at Pittsburgh State. He used to be at Youngstown and Toledo, and actually way back when I was coaching at Akron, he was coaching at Walsh College, which is right down the road from Akron. So I got to know him then, and I knew him when he was at Youngstown State, when I was here at IUP. And when we saw his name in the portal, I called him and said, I really don't want to lose him. But we do have a freshman that we recruited out of Florida. They didn't recruit Mac. Mac was there with the previous staff. And we're going to go with the freshman that we recruited out of Florida. And we don't want to lose Mac, but it would be fair to let him go in the portal because he wants to be a starter, and he's been a starter. He started the first 10 games for him. So that was big in regards to at least knowing somebody there at Pittsburgh State. And then when we found out that he was originally from Buffalo and his father was a trainer for the Buffalo Bills and knew Jim Kelly real well, and we've had the two Kelly boys play for us, the nephews, and that led one thing into another. And then obviously he was looking for a situation where there wasn't a starting quarterback in place. When you get in that transfer portal, people don't understand. If there's 100 transfer quarterbacks in the transfer portal, that means there got to be 100 schools looking for a starting quarterback because they're not going to transfer if they're not going to be the start, have a chance to be the starter.
Obviously, yes.
It was like when Quentin came out, his dad played at Northwest Missouri. If they didn't have a quarterback, he probably would have went there. But they had a starting guy was there for 3 years as a starter. So that knocked them out of the box.
And it worked out.
So, the stars aligned, as they say, and he got to be good friends with Zach Connor Kelly. He's in grad school with Connor and a couple of the other guys that are in the business grad school. We got 7 guys in grad school right now. And so it just was a pretty good fit. He came up here on a hunting trip to Buffalo in December and drove down from Buffalo to visit. And, it just worked out, and we're thrilled to death to have him. And he's, every time I see him, he's got a smile on his face. Very composed, never loses his, temper out there. He's very calm and controlled, never gets too high, never gets too low, at least in practice. And I don't think he'll do that. He'll be the same in the game.
What, for the fans who will see Sexton play for the first time, if they haven't shown up and watched him a little bit in practice and so on, and of course you've got a core of veteran players who are coming back. What does he bring to the table? What does he have to do to make this team go?
Well, I think number one, leadership is very important, and I think he's done a really great job with that. But you could be the greatest leader in the world if you can't make the throws, then that only goes so far. If I had to make one statement, it would be that he can make all the throws. And, he's got a pretty good core of receivers. When we were recruiting them, we told them that we'd have some pretty good receivers come. We have some good receivers coming back. And then we obviously added one with Lockhart. So he was impressed with the guys that we had, and he's just done a very good job of distributing the ball, leading, making all the throws. Pretty good job in the pocket. He has a good presence of, where the pressure's coming from, and he'll step up into the pocket, So our linemen will know where he's at. When we had Lenny, he would be everywhere. But that was a good thing.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
oh, yes.
Yeah, like if he didn't like it in that pocket, he was gone. And that was a great thing because of the type of player he was. But sometimes the linemen don't know, where my quarterback's going to be. But our linemen know where Mac's going to be. And he's very mobile. I mean, he's not like just a pocket quarterback that's just going to throw. He's very mobile. So we're excited to see him play.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, Coach Tomlin, announced his starting quarterback, and this has gone on and on with who's 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
All right, at IUP, you have a couple of guys that have been vying for that backup spot. If you were to play today, and you're going to play in a couple of days, what's it look like?
I'd say right now Horn would be the backup.
Logan
He
Horn.
just got more experience, knows the offense from the spring. We're very impressed with Marchitelli as a true freshman. He's a big kid. He's got a lot of physical tools, can make throws. But just this, the difference in prep school and, coming in and being a 1 or a 2 at quarterback at this level is a big jump. But he's very talented. He's got a strong arm, good size, great presence about him. Just on experience and age alone, he's not ready yet.
Marchitelli's story is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's another great story.
Colorado, Salzburg all the way out to Colorado, comes back, and you always need quarterbacks.
Oh yeah, that's right now we got 4 on the roster, and we feel good about our starter. Logan's had a good camp. He had a really good spring. He's improved. And Marchitelli's a young guy that's got a lot of talent.
All right, and we will talk about the offensive coordinator, a new offensive coordinator for Coach Tortorella this year, who has been working with these quarterbacks that we've talked about. So we'd like you to participate. If you have any questions, you can maybe shoot them along to Mark Burdig or someone here, and they can get the message to me. Hawk Talk is what it is with Coach Paul Tortorella. The season starts at East Stroudsburg at 6:05 for the kickoff at East Stroudsburg on Saturday night. They've already played a game. We'll talk about East Stroud a little bit later on. Back in a moment, we're coming to you on U92Radio.com, Renda Digital TV, on YouTube, and so on. We're out there. We'll be back after we take this time out.
C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen in the Hilton Garden Inn is this area's best-kept secret. Stop in for breakfast, lunch, dinner, happy hour, or for their post-game specials. Make your reservations for C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen in the Hilton Garden Inn at chfields.com. The Hilton Garden Inn is the preferred hotel of IUP Athletics. Located next to Miller Stadium and the KCAC, the Hilton Garden Inn is Indiana's newest and best hotel. Make your reservations today at hiltongardeninn.com.
Your home is you. It says who you are. For that difference you want, you don't have to look far.
Shop now for big savings. Visit Dowds of Plumville and Dowds of Greensburg.
Come and discover the Dowds difference. Doesn't your home deserve Dowds?
Beautiful Hilton Garden Inn, second year that we have here. And of course the CH Craft Kitchen that's open, and when you stop by and have a dinner, beverage, whatever, you're able to catch us. We're on a Tuesday because of Labor Day, but we'll be on Mondays throughout the football season with Coach Paul Tortorella, and sometime we get some of the players, coaches that come along, so be sure to pass along the word. All right, Coach, we talked about the quarterbacks, the backup quarterback, and so the guy directing him, you've got a new offensive coordinator, Larry Wilson, who has been in the PSAC system in more ways than one. Give us a little bit about his background, how you got him for fans that don't know.
Well, known him for a long time. He was at Cal for a long time and did a great job on the offensive side of the ball. His wide receivers were always really good. They were really well coached. he really knows a lot about the passing game, but he does like to run the ball. That's the thing that he would tell me that he liked about some of the great seasons we've had is how well we run the ball. And he really likes to be able to run the ball. And he's a great football coach, but he's even a better person. Kids love him. Other coaches love him. He's a fun guy to be around. Very energetic. Got a great personality. He's like kind of one of those guys when the bullets are flying, you want him on your side. You know, and we haven't played a game yet together, but I just know how hard he was to go up against. And some of the adjustments he would make with their receivers against us and in the passing game was very impressive. So when we had the chance to hire him, it was pretty much a slam dunk. And you would actually be surprised at some of the people that called and were interested in the job. But the job was his. You know, and we were happy to get him. They didn't want to lose him at Cal, that's for sure.
Well, I'm sure they didn't. They lost both him
and the defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah, Mike Craig. With Larry, Coach Wilson, Slippery Rock tie-ins.
Also.
With you,
yes.
with Todd Garzarelli.
Right. He's worked the whole conference. He's at Slippery Rock, Cal, and now IUP. But there's no love lost there.
Just so happens that Slippery Rock is the homecoming game this year in any event, but we love to see that. You know, we talked about rivalries on the D1 with look at Pitt and West Virginia
right.
and so on, and on our level, on Division II level, I mean, you just can't beat it. The offense, you mentioned about the running backs. So you have Hauser back. You have, my goodness, when I first saw DeJour Stewart.
Right.
Is this the same guy?
Right.
He lost 30 pounds or
yes.
so, and I asked him. I mean, it was by design,
sure.
So he wanted to get quicker.
Yeah, he really transformed his body. He actually lost probably 10 pounds more than we wanted him to lose. He's a lot quicker, a lot more explosive. Not quite as heavy, obviously, but he's really done a great job with his body. He's a lot faster, and so he's not going to be the same guy as that played last year in a good way.
Yeah, exactly. Now, did you guys approach him?
I mean, we talked to him about, trimming down and, this and that, and by the end of the spring, he had been down a decent amount of weight. And then we talked over the summer and everything, and we had known he got down to about 200 and from 228, I think. But he looks great. He's practicing well. His conditioning's even better. And then, you got Hauser, they're really now about the same type of back in regards to their body type and their stature. And then we've got some young guys that we're looking to be the third back. And we also have some wideouts that could play running back. We've got two wideouts that were former running backs, actually.
So you're talking about Dwayne Brown and Q Carter.
Yes. So, they could play running back too if we're in a pinch. But we feel good, obviously, with the two we have. You need a lot of running backs. Sarianni and Woody are young guys that have been in the program. They're fighting for the third spot. So we're in good shape, but you got those guys get banged up, especially when you run the ball a good bit, which we try to do. I can remember the one year we had 5 running backs to start the season. Near the end of the year, we had 1 left. So but there's other options. J.D. Younger was a really good running back at Central Catholic, and we're playing him on defense right now. But he rushed for over 1,000 yards last year in a really good conference at Central Catholic. He could go there if we needed to put him there. But the two we have that would be 1 and 1A are the two guys that we feel good about.
You have 2 true freshman running backs, Parker Gregg, Cooper Geyer.
Yes.
I was really surprised when I saw, I mean, they both had good high school careers. In Parker's case, he was the first player in the PIAA in a single season to have 1,000 yards rushing, 1,000 yards receiving.
Right.
That's pretty impressive.
Those two guys, which stood out, Geyer was very physical blocker.
They're bigger backs.
But Geyer was a very physical blocker, and that stood out. And then Parker Gregg, usually in high school, you got a running back, and that's what he is. You got a receiver, a tight end, and this guy caught the ball out of the backfield. He ran the ball. He was a defensive back. He played on all the special teams. Really, it got to the point after he visited, I was like, why is nobody else really recruiting this guy?
So he's a walk-on.
Yes, but he probably won't be for very long. If he continues the trajectory he's on right now, he's smart. He looks the part. I mean, he looks like a great, he's got a great body for a running back. He's got good hands, very smart, great student. The Geyer kid is like the happiest guy in the world to be here at IUP. Like, this is like his dream school. And they're local. They're from 40 minutes away. And they love being here. And they've done a great job. We haven't played a game yet, but for the 18-19 practices we've had, they've both been very impressive.
I know. I've watched a lot of the practices, and they haven't missed a practice.
Right.
And that gives you some pretty good depth.
Right.
Right back to Q Carter for just a minute. I didn't realize that how much these players are so good in high school, and they play various positions. And of course, we lock him in as a great returner and receiver and so on. You've been using him a little bit more in practice now, I see, in the running back spot.
Well, you see what he does in kick returns, and you see what he does after he catches the ball in space. One of his best options as a receiver is yardage after the catch with him. So, if one of those two are dinged up and we aren't going to, they're maybe not going to go in practice, we'll put Q back there, and he'll take the reps with the twos at running back. So, he doesn't know the whole offense as a running back, but he knows enough of it to be able to help us if we need him back here.
Let's stay with the offense. We're on Hawk Talk with Coach Paul Tortorella. Stay with the offense. Tight ends. I want to start with Grant Schmidt. He's been here for a lot of years. Of course, has had a lot of success. Now, he got slowed by a medical problem. What's his status as
He's fine. He's cleared. He's ready to go. Other than missing a decent amount of practice, he's in great shape. He came into camp in great shape. Lost a little bit of weight. Looked very good. It was a shame that he missed some practice time, but he has played for 3 years as a starter. So it's not like a young guy missing a lot of. Now, don't get me wrong. He needs to and he's practicing this week. But if a guy's going to miss a week or 10 days of practice, you hope that he's played a lot, then it won't affect him that much.
You do have some depth there, too.
Well, we've got Laney, we got Cam Suman. We got 3 guys that can line up at tight end. They're all tough. They're all physical. Grant's probably the best receiver, although Laney's a big, tall guy that can get vertical, and he's a big target. So, and Cam's just, your 2000 or 1995 H-back tight end back in like his dad. He's an old school football player.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
It's a great blocker and just really tough. And he makes catches when he has to. He's made some really great catches around here too.
Yeah, he has. I'm going to ask you about one other tight end that you brought in, Aidan Johnson.
Right.
Freshman, true freshman.
Right.
Big kid. I notice he has like a sleeve on his knee or whatever. So,
he's going to redshirt. He partially tore his meniscus this summer working out. So when he came in here, we kind of thought that we'd get him to rehab and we'd redshirt him. He was a guy that we had high hopes for, that especially if we needed a tight end. He was a guy that probably, coming off a high school film, especially in the passing game, looked like he might have a chance to play as a true freshman. But he got hurt this summer, so it'll be good for him to redshirt, and actually in the long run for him it'll work out better for him.
Yeah. I know in reading the write-up and seeing the highlights about him, there were some D1 schools are
Right.
interested in him. Out he's with Conestoga Valley or
Yes.
something. Is that what
Yep.
We're with Coach Paul Tortorella. We're on Hawk Talk. We have some other questions coming up. In fact, I've got here. Let's see what we have here, Coach. All right. How does it feel not having a game in August, starting the season later and away from home? And of course, one of the things that's good is IUP's played well at home. I mean, on the road.
Yeah,
on the road.
And we've had a lot of success in openers. It actually was not a big deal until this past weekend because, you should be playing in a game. Up to that point, it really wasn't because you still have the same amount of practices before your first game anyway. Mm-hmm. You're allowed 23 practices. So we came to camps 5 or 6 days later than the other teams, but we still practice the same amount of times before your first game. And obviously this past weekend we rested. Our kids got 2 days off. You got to look at it. There's positives and negatives of whether you play or you don't play. Obviously we'd rather play.
Sure.
But our schedule, we play Cal, Slippery Rock, Shippensburg, Stroudsburg, Westchester. I mean, we're not, our crossovers are pretty good, so it's not going to affect our strength of schedule that much. Now, last year we had the third toughest schedule in the country. On paper, it's not as tough as that because we played Kutztown and Shepherd and Westchester. Mm-hmm. But, and the other schools in the West have gotten a lot better, especially Edinburgh and Gannon.
Wow, they've got a lot of
I look for them to have a really good year. So not playing the game shouldn't hurt us, I don't think, in strength of schedule because of who we're playing out of the conference.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see. Got some more questions coming in. Which this is from Pat on Facebook down around Blairsville Way. Let's see. Aspects of the team. In their aspects of the team, do you feel really good about? I guess it's a chemistry type thing.
Oh yeah, sure. That's important.
The type of players that you have.
Yeah, we feel really good about where we're at. Character-wise, chemistry-wise, offense, defense, special teams. It's an interesting mix. We've got a lot of real old guys and a lot of real young guys, and we don't have that many in between. We've got a lot of freshmen and sophomores, and we have 16 fifth and sixth year seniors, and 12 of them have been here the whole time. We have a small junior class, and I believe we looked the other day. I want to say 68% of our team are freshmen and sophomores. So we're still young, and now these sophomores, a lot of them started as freshmen. Mm-hmm. And then, we've got 3 transfers. 2 of them are seniors. 2 of them are juniors that'll be starters. Mac and Nitty Taylor, a cornerback. And then we have Lockhart, who's a senior, as a transfer. But the other seniors, most of them have all been here for 5 or 6 years. Like we had Joe Peterson out at practice today, and I think the other day we had Justice Evans maybe, and a couple other older guys. And there's still 5 or 6 guys here from the 2017 team.
Oh my gosh!
Dwayne played on that team, and then there's 4 or 5 other guys that were here as redshirt freshmen on that team. When you throw the COVID year in, we've got guys that are 6-year guys.
Sure.
So they're either in grad school or they're freshmen or sophomores. It seems like every older guy they're either graduating this December or they're in grad school.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What COVID did and all.
Yeah, it's a whole year.
Look at Clifford at Penn State. 6 years he's been.
Exactly.
We're going to be back with some other questions that we have coming up, and we're going to take a time out. We're on Hawk Talk. We're coming to you live from the beautiful Hilton Garden Inn here in Indiana, and the C.H. Fields Craft Kitchen, of course, supplying food here to our workers. They're not working, they're eating is what they're doing. But we're going to talk more. We're going to talk about some of the freshmen, that kind of thing, and more about the opponent, too, coming up in East Stroudsburg this week. So we'll be back with Hawk Talk on U92Radio.com and on the TV side at Renda Digital TV. We'll be back right after this.
You know, the thing.
The Co-op store has the largest selection of IUP gifts and apparel. The Co-op is always there with its convenient location and hours. The Co-op store has been serving IUP and the Indiana community since 1933, and all profits are returned to the students through campus programs and activities. The Co-op has all your campus needs from the dorm to the classroom. Visit us online at www.iupstore.com.
I'm with the voice of the IUP Crimson Hawks, Jack Benedict. And Jack, finally, you will be back in the booth broadcasting the Hawks. How good does that feel?
Oh, Mark, I'll tell you what, I can't wait. It is about time that I get back there.
And we'd like to invite your business to join our Hawks Booster Club.
That's right, back the best, the IUP Crimson Hawks, and help us sponsor the games for thousands of listeners on air and online. Check out the Crimson Hawks Sports Booster Plan, which is attached.
Coach Paul Tortorella. IUP opening up the season Saturday night at East Stroudsburg, and that will be a 6:05 kickoff at East Stroud. So if you're making the trip, I know some fans who are making the trip across the state and making a nice weekend out of it. Here's another question. This comes from a listener down at Homer City Way. Is Homer Center's Ben Schmidt still on the roster? I know the answer to that, but anyway, I'm gonna, and how does he fit in with the team?
Well, as those the Homer people know, he was a quarterback. We moved him to tight end, this is his second year. So it's a different deal. You know, playing quarterback's one thing, but then moving to tight end, it's a whole new situation. So he's improving. He's gotten bigger, and you know, it's one of those guys that they just keep getting better and better if they keep practicing, and all of a sudden they're on the field.
I never see him. Well, let me put it this way. I always see him because he never misses a practice.
Right, and we've had a lot of guys like that, you know, by the time they're third year in the program or fourth year in the program, they get themselves on the field.
Mm-hmm. I've got one for you here. We were talking about, mentioned just a little bit about injuries. Gregory Moore, defensive tackle, really came on for you last year.
Right.
He and Ronnie Mitchell in the middle there. Now, he has not been able to play for a while, and he had a foot injury.
Right.
What's his status as of right now?
He could probably play this weekend. We're not sure if we're going to do that because he hasn't practiced a whole lot. So he's questionable, much like Jaheim Howard. Jaheim Howard's the same way. He just hasn't practiced for about 10 days. And health-wise, they both probably can play, but we're just trying to make a decision here in regards to they haven't practiced a whole lot. So
Howard's situation was in the scrimmage, wasn't it?
Yes, the first scrimmage.
First scrimmage.
Right.
Okay. Let's talk about the secondary a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
Your defensive men have been, everybody is back. I'm doing the game last year. I don't know what game it was, and I'm looking. I said, "My God, we've got 4 or 5 people. They're all freshmen out there."
Right.
So now they have that experience. They also have the spring ball experience. Right. Give us an overview of what the secondary looks right now, and of course with Howard out, are you replacing him with Cobb?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Right now, Cobb's been taking most of the reps with the first team at strong safety. We have the 4 that played a lot: Howard, Bruce, Ingram, and Randy Washington. And then we've got Taylor, who's a transfer. He's only a junior.
From Cal.
Is
he a junior?
Yeah, he's a junior.
Oh.
He's had a great camp. He's a good football player. We've got a young freshman, Kalen Frazier from out near Philadelphia, who's had a really good camp for a true freshman. We got Sean McCaskill out there. He's they're all young. Like Taylor's a junior and everybody else is a sophomore or less. We've got a really good group of true freshmen.
Well, you took the whole secondary from
right, and all three of
Central
them,
Catholic.
and all three of them have done well here in preseason camp. Noah Johnston, a kid from Alderdice, has got a great body for a safety. I mean, these guys are talented. They're for true freshmen. They're a cut above, what we bring in. And I think part of it was a lot of people last year were in the transfer portal, and with COVID, didn't recruit that many high school kids. So we got the 3 Central kids. We got Johnston. We got Frazier. We got a kid from North Catholic, Laconie. So we were fortunate enough to get a big group of secondary guys, along with the ones, that we already have in the program. So we're excited, but we got to go play.
Would you say that the lack of depth would be at linebacker?
I'll tell you, the 2 guys that have come on, 54 and 50, I keep writing it down on my notes after every practice or scrimmage with an arrow up, because they're showing up. Sims, who had an injury problem, he's a 5th semester freshman. And then Jay Holmes, who was a transfer from
Is it Wesleyan?
Wesley in Delaware.
Wesley.
Got hurt last year, so he had the red shirt. So he's a junior, and both those guys are very active and move very well. Little inexperienced, and they both have good size. So I would probably say in the last 10 days, of all the guys that are, defensively that are running with the second group, those 2 guys have probably made the biggest improvement, behind Biss and Kelly.
Biss reminds me, you brought it up about a player earlier, old-time ball player.
Oh, yeah.
Just some of the players that IUP had, that Coach Signetti had, that just went out and played and won games.
He's smart. I mean, he's unbelievable. He's only a sophomore, and he's been here 5 semesters. Actually, he's been here 7 semesters. He might have 3 degrees by the time he's done here, because that's how smart he really is. I mean, he's a 4.0 student.
Wow.
And I would say probably of the guys that were freshmen that are now sophomores, he's probably made the most improvement out of all those guys that played a lot as freshmen. He's really had a great camp.
And it's good that Connor Kelly elected to come back.
Absolutely. People don't realize he played linebacker at Edinburgh. It was a little different. They used him as a rush end. Then he came here and was a COVID year, so he didn't play for us at all as a linebacker. And then last year was the first year he really actually played linebacker in college at a new place, IUP, with a new defense. And much like Malachi Knoll, who was just a 1-year guy there that transferred, the second half of the season, those guys were totally different players than in the first half. The unfortunate thing is we played a lot of really good teams the first half of the season, but they played a lot better in the second half of the season. They were more comfortable. Things weren't new to them. And now Kelly's totally different this year than he was last year. Last year, everything was new because his first year here, we didn't have football. We were in COVID. So his situation is unique in that way.
I noticed we had talked about Gregory Moore. So you have moved Will Mayer inside from defensive end, is that right?
Yeah, we've got a couple guys that are both, D ends and can play inside. Wallace, Mayer are 2 to speak of. Even Terrell Williams can play inside and outside. We've got a couple just guys that are edge players in Fazell and Fowler, and obviously Ronye's an inside guy. But we do have 3 or 4 guys that can play both inside and outside.
I have written down here, I had asked you this a while back about Logan Danielson.
Right.
A kid who was a Bill Fraley, all everything lineman back in 2019.
Right.
He's been practicing with. What is his status?
Well, right now he's not eligible. They're trying to look into something with the COVID-related year.
Okay.
And the unfortunate thing is his true freshman year, we didn't play football. He would have played as a true freshman. at defensive tackle. He had the year off, and he's had a great camp. Like, for a guy that hadn't played football for a year and a half, he's still young. You know, he's only been out of high school 2 years. So hopefully, you know, things work out in the future. He has a bright future as a football player. He really does. He's talented.
Well, you know, he was in pretty good company coming out of high school.
Right.
Win the Freilich Award and everything. I do have another question here from Doug. Some diehard fans say program can't see success on national stage. Again, no, due to financial restrictions. So how challenging is it to be competitive in what's going on in today's world?
Well, I look at it like this. Regionally, you know, we have no you'll never hear me say we winning the region's impossible. I mean, we're as good as anybody in the region. You know, budget, you can scholarship, fully funded, not forget about all that stuff. We can be as good as anybody in the region. Okay, when you get to the national semifinals, it's a little different story. You're going to play somebody from another region that's got 36 scholarships and fully funded, and they've got more money in their budget. Just the fact of the matter. So, you know, in 17, we're in the Final Four, home game against West Florida. We had our chance. You know, I think if we play West Florida 10 times that year, we probably win 5 and they win 5. On that day, they were better than us. And then if you win that game, you get to the national championship, and then you're going to face the same thing. You're going to face a fully funded 36 full scholarship team. And that year was A&M Commerce, and they beat West Florida. So, you know, I think the region is a whole different ball game compared to the other regions. You know, and when you look at it, just if you do your research, look at what happens to the teams that win our region in the semifinals. We've had a lot of success in the past. I mean, we've won twice and went to the national championship back in the day. But we've had close games in our semifinals. We went to Northwest Missouri and lost by 8 points. Played West Florida tough. Shepherd's had success when they win the region. But a lot of teams in our region that win the region, whether they're from the PSAC or from the Northeast 10 or whatever, the Mountain East or whatever, all these schools, the people in our region, they take it on the chin pretty good in the national semifinals. You know, Slippery Rock got beat really bad in the national semifinals a couple years ago at Slippery Rock by the Minnesota State team. It's the same thing.
Same deal.
It's, you know, whatever scholarships you have versus a fully funded program. And that's just that. It is what it is. I mean, that's that. Win your region and then take your shot in the semifinals.
And hope that you just don't make any mistakes.
Right. And then Shepherd ran into that problem this year. They had the quarterback Harlan Hill, 29. I mean, they had as good a year as anybody's had in our region in a long time. They're unfortunately had to play Ferris State in the semifinals at Ferris State. And we know what happened.
Look what happened there.
Right.
Exactly. All right, we're going to be back with our final segment of Hawk Talk with Coach Paul Tortorella, so stay with us. We do want to talk about the opponent in East Stroudsburg and also a couple of other new coaches on coach's staff here for this year. Back in a moment, Hawk Talk, we're coming to you live from the Hilton Garden Inn on U92Radio.com, YouTube at Renda Digital TV. We'll be right back.
C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen in the Hilton Garden Inn is this area's best-kept secret. Stop in for breakfast, lunch, dinner, happy hour, or for their post-game specials. Make your reservations for C.H. Field's Craft Kitchen in the Hilton Garden Inn at chfields.com. The Hilton Garden Inn is the preferred hotel of IUP Athletics. Located next to Miller Stadium and the KCAC, the Hilton Garden Inn is Indiana's newest and best hotel. Make your reservations today at hiltongardeninn.com.
Your home is you. It says who you are. For that difference you want, you don't have to look far.
Shop now for big savings. Visit Dow's of Plumville and Dow's of Greensburg.
Come and discover the Dow's difference. Doesn't your home deserve Dow's?
And welcome back to Hawk Talk. I want to remind you, we'll be on Monday night now through the season. This is a special Hawk Talk here with Coach Paul Tortorella. Coach, we talked about Larry Wilson on the offensive side, right. New coach. You have a couple of guys on the defensive side. Talk about Zach Johnson and Brett Bryce.
Yeah, we have 4 new coaches total on the staff. Zach Johnson, whose father Dave coached here with me back in the olden days, and he's still in coaching at Tennessee Tech.
Is that where he is?
Yeah,
now?
He's at Tennessee Tech as the offensive line coach. Zach's like a chip off the block. He talks just like Dave. It's like the apple didn't fall far from the tree. He leaves no stone. I mean, he's very conscientious, leaves no stone unturned, handles his room tremendously. He's got a great young mind. We're really happy to have him. And, he kind of grew up in Indiana when he was a little kid, and then he moved all over the place. But he really's happy to be back here. And we love having him. Demetrius Wilson's our new defensive line coach. Did not know Demetrius. Came recommended by a couple, actually, a guy that played for me back when I coached at Maryland got a hold of me and knew Demetrius and talked about him, and he came in and he's doing a really good job with our defensive line. And then Brett Bryce, who's coaching our wideouts, obviously from Indiana, kind of followed him along. And the funny thing about this whole tie-in is when Brett went to Ohio U, he wanted to be a student assistant. Well, I called Dave Johnson, who's the offensive line coach at Ohio U, to get him on the staff as a student assistant. So now, as we spin it around,
here we are
in a full circle. Brett's back here at Indiana at IUP, and Dave's son Zach is also here, and they knew each other from Ohio U, Brett and Zach.
Oh, that's great.
And then with Larry, and then with the returning guys that I've been with for a long time, feel really good. In this position, it's like probably anything in the real world, but I've been in this football world for so long. Like, the people that you have working with you or for you or under you or however you want to, they've got to be as good as you or sometimes smarter and better. And without them, it doesn't work. Like, you're only as good as your staff. And believe me, we've got a great staff that I don't have to micromanage. They're all good coaches. I always tell them when they ask me a question or look at me it's why you got coach in front of your name, buddy. You can get it done.
You can get it, yeah. Well, we didn't mention Schmidt and Campy and Mitch Snyder. And, I hope I'm not leaving anybody out, but these guys have been around for a while. So you have a combination, which is good. Right? I think that works well.
Right.
I did want to ask you about the opponent.
Sure.
East Stroudsburg. They got off to a rocky start against Pace. I watched a little bit of that, and right from the kickoff, huh?
5 minutes into the game, they were down 14-0. That's tough to come back from, especially on the road. From that point on, they outplayed Pace. They gave up a couple big plays on defense, but moved the ball. They had to kick 3 field goals in the red zone. They were down there 4 times. They scored 1 touchdown, but they had to kick 3 field goals. If they score touchdowns down there, it's a whole totally different game. But they're down 14-0 4 minutes into the game. Mm-hmm. But I mean, they played the game well after those 5 minutes. They're better than they've been on. They've been traditionally a high-scoring offensive team in the past. And now they're playing better defense. They've got good defensive players. They've got a good defensive scheme. Coach Terwilliger, who obviously was the quarterback and his dad's the OC, they're still doing really good things on offense. But I think they're doing some things better in regards to, kicking game, offense, defense. In the past, they basically tried to outscore everybody.
They were out, and they did.
And there were times where they did.
Yeah.
Now I think that they've done a great job. Like last year, they played Kutztown great, and they played great defense. Had real good chance to win that game. They had a chance to beat Slippery Rock early in the year. Up at Slippery Rock, they played great defense in that game. So I think it's not the same East Stroudsburg as the PSAC knows. And I think he's done a great job with the whole program. It's hard. You follow on Denny Dowds, who's been there forever.
Right.
He played for him. It's not an easy deal. And having his dad there as the OC is probably really good.
I noticed where his dad, I was looking at the 44 years.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and he does a great, he's been running that offense for forever. Yeah. And he's a really good coach. They seem to hire guys that know the program or that were either played there, somewhat like we do, Stroudsburg guys, so to speak. A couple of the other assistants have been there a long time. They were there with Coach Dowds. So I think they're on an upward trajectory.
I did want to mention, congratulate Coach Dowds, Denny Dowds, going into the Hall of Fame.
Sure.
And, we're happy at IUP that we have 3 in the College Football Hall of Fame, and Coach Clausen, Coach Signetti, and also Jim Haslett. So, Denny there forever. I'm sure they may have something planned for him on Saturday. It's their home opener. And that was, I think you and I talked about it because you and Coach Terwilliger said, hey, yeah, we'll play in the afternoon. And then somebody changed everybody's mind out there.
Well, I think what they like to do is they like to have their opening game at night, for their students and for their administration, and And you're the home team. You say we're going to play at midnight, and you kind of got to do it.
So there's nothing in the rule book of the PSAC.
There was at one time talk of crossover games having to be day games because of the travel. Most crossover games are at least 3 hours away. This is 4.5 or whatever, 5, whatever it is. But it never went through. So now it's the home team decides what they want to do, and if they say you play at 6, you play at 6.
Your travel plans are a little different too, aren't they? Because they've got a lot of things going on.
Yeah, it's playing on the road is not an issue, but playing on the road at night is, because you got to sit around. Sometimes you can't stay in your rooms. You can't get a late checkout. We've done this before at Millersville and at other places, and you're laying in a big banquet room for an hour and a half because you can't stay in your rooms. It is what it is. We'll have meetings during the day. We'll have a walkthrough during the day. Let the kids relax a little bit. We'll have 2 meals actually before we actually go play the game. It's not anything we can't handle. Just control what you can control, and that's when the ball's kicked off, whatever time that is.
Way back when we started here this evening on Hawk Talk, we talked about Ashland will be for 4 years, home and away, starting next year. What a win they got, huh?
Yes.
Beating Notre Dame, the number 10 team preseason?
Yeah, you probably would remember this because you remember everything. In 2018, my second year when we beat them in the opener at Ashland, the kid that came in to play quarterback and did a very good job in the second half, the Brenner kid, was a true freshman. Well, he's now a 6th or 5th year senior with COVID, and he's one of the better players in that league. I think this is a year where they've got a lot of, because they've been good, but not as good as they've been the last couple of years. I think they were pretty young. They had a great run there when we played them in 17 and before 17. Even in 18, that was a good team that we beat at. They just were young at quarterback. They decided to go with the young guy, and now he's a 5th or 6th year senior, and there's a lot of other kids that are seniors. So I think they're going to be really good this year. And that kid's a really good player. And when you have a lot of seniors and the quarterback's experienced, and he's been there the whole time, I'd look for them to have a really good year.
And the East Stroudsburg quarterback, Cirillo.
Yes, he's the same way. He's been there for a long time, and he's a long time 5th, 6th year senior, or whatever they are now because of COVID. So he's been in their program for a long time. And, you know, like when we had Lenny for 4 years, now we've kind of had the transfers for a year and hopefully have Mac for 2. But when you get a guy and he plays as a freshman, you kind of bite the bullet for a year, and then the dividends pay off the next 2, 3, 4 years. Mm-hmm. So I think that's where Lee Owens is right now with his team at Ashland. I think this is a year they're expecting to be really good.
I think, aren't they playing Findlay this week?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
So that'll be a good test.
And Ashland's a great program. You know, Al King's the athletic director there.
Yeah, our dear friend Al.
And they've got good players. They got a great area to recruit. You know, I don't know if you realize they have great facility. You know the facility they had.
I heard that
now they have an indoor facility.
Yeah.
So they've got everything they need. They have an indoor facility. They've got that football building in the back of the end zone. It's really nice where their offices
Beautiful
are.
setup.
Everything's right. It's a setup like you're in a FCS program, basically.
One other thing, I just have a minute or two, a couple of minutes here. East Stroudsburg has a new locker room facility, right?
I'll tell you, yeah, that's what Coach Terwilliger, being a graduate of East Stroudsburg, he's done a great job bringing back the former players and the alums and raising money for facilities and new locker room, and he's done a great job of bringing the former players back into the program.
Well, I think that says a lot, and we get at IUP, we're fortunate we have people that come back. We'd like to see a lot more,
right?
But we'll do whatever we're handed with is what we deal with. Well, we're going to be playing some football here pretty soon, so it's about time.
Sure.
Let's see. We always have some wise guy in the crowd here, but we don't want to talk about the press box because, as I tell people, I get in free. And that's the bottom.
The price is right?
The price is absolutely perfect. And you know what? It's not really a bad setup. It's just a little thing here and there. And but we love we love to be over there. Well, Coach, you've got a couple of days here before you head on out, and so keep them healthy, and we'll go at East Stroudsburg, and I know they'll be the players will be in the right frame of mind. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think we're ready. We're getting to a point now where we're kind of getting tired of practicing and are looking forward to play a game.
Yeah, exactly. We want to thank our folks here, John Smathers, who is our producer of Hawk Talk, and Jake Slobodnik back at our Renda Broadcast Studios, and Carrie here does such a great job, and then I get all kind of weird questions here from the audience, courtesy of Mr. Birding. So, Coach, good to be with you, and we'll do this again throughout the season on Monday nights. Okay?
Appreciate it, Jack. Thanks.
Thank you, Coach Paul Tortorella. And the game is at 6:05 kickoff Saturday night at East Stroudsburg. We'll be on the air at 5:30 on U92.5 FM, and all around, the country. The world anymore with the way things go as IUP gets set for the 2022 season. Thank you one and all. Hawk Talk, thanks to the wonderful folks here at the Hilton Garden Inn. We'll see you next week with Hawk Talk. For the coach, this is Jack Benedict, and have a Major League night. Thank you, Jake. Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
At IRMC, we have all of the necessary pieces in place to perform complex operations, including highly skilled and specially trained surgeons, their support team of experts, and advanced technology like the Da Vinci robotic surgical system. As a result, patients spend less time in the hospital, recover faster, and get treated close to home. So there's no reason to puzzle over where you should get your surgical care. The answer is right here at IRMC.
The Co-op store has the largest selection of IUP gifts and apparel. The Co-op is always there with its convenient location and hours. The Co-op store has been serving IUP and the Indiana community since 1933, and all profits are returned to the students through campus programs and activities. The Co-op has all your campus needs from the dorm to the classroom. Visit us online at www.iupstore.com.
I'm with the voice of the IUP Crimson Hawks, Jack Benedict. And Jack, finally, you will be back in the booth broadcasting the Hawks. How good does that feel?
Mark, I'll tell you what, I can't wait. It is about time that I get back there.
And we'd like to invite your business to join our Hawks Booster Club.
That's right, back the best, the IUP Crimson